So this is the chapter 1 of Satyanarayana book, the latest edition, Biomolecules and the Cell. Most important points which is new after 12th standard or which we don't know, and these are the most important points to be kept in the in head. These are is a full summary of the whole chapter. Even if you don't read the chapter, these are the basic things which which you'll not be knowing after 12th, and it is to be remembered. So let us go through one by one. 90% of body weight is of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur. 90% of compounds are carbon containing. Escherichia coli has 6,000 organic compounds, whereas human has 1 lakh organic compounds. Water is 60%, that is majority. If we consider a human of approximate average weight 65 kgs, then almost 40 kgs is just occupied only by water. Next is protein, which is 17% and occupies 11 kgs. Then comes the lipid, which is 14%, 9 kgs, carbohydrates 1.5%, 1 kg, and minerals 6%, that is 4 kgs. And nucleus, no, next is eukaryotic cell. There are approximately 10 power 14 cells, eukaryotic cells. Their size is 100 to 10 to 100 micrometer, and there are 250 types. Then the eukaryotic DNA is to histone ratio is 1:1, and nucleoplasm contains DNA polymerases as well as RNA polymerases, DNA polymerase and RNA polymerases, and these are the pores. These are the nuclear pores. Its diameter is 90 micrometer. The nucleus has certain pores, and its diameter is 90 nanometer. What is lipofusion? Lipids plus proteins. The fusion of lipids and proteins is lipofusion, which causes aging. Arthritis is because of leakage of lysosomal enzymes. This is arthritis. This is a picture of arthritis. Then Zellweger syndrome is because the peroxisomes are absent, and this is the major form of PBD, that is peroxisome biogenesis disorder. Major form of PBD is Zellweger syndrome, wherein the peroxisomes are absent and the kid dies within 1 year of its birth. Anemia is caused due to when the cytoskeletal protein, this is a defect in the spectrum of RBC, that is cytoskeletal protein, hereditary spherocytosis takes place, due to which breakdown of RBCs occurs. What is HGPS? HGPS is Hudson-Gilford-Progeria syndrome, which is the aging beginning at birth. This occurs to 1 kid out of 5 million births. And why does this occur? Because of the distortion of nuclear envelope due to the accumulation of abnormal protein in the cell, that is lamin. Lamin A is the abnormal protein due to which the distortion of nuclear envelope and the accumulation of lamin, this HGPS, that is Hudson-Gilford-Progeria syndrome, occurs. Now mitochondria, there are two surfaces, there are two covers. One is the smooth outer surface and another is the cristae inside. The cristae increases the surface area and contains many enzymes, and the matrix contains enzymes for the synthesis of carbohydrates, proteins, also heme and urea. The dimensions of mitochondria are 1:3 micrometer. Remember, here it is micrometer, and just now we learned here also micrometer for the size of the eukaryotic cells, but diameter of nucleus is in nanometer. That has to be remembered. Then mitochondria, there are approximately 2000 mitochondria in one cell, which occupy 1/5 of the total cell volume. The mitochondria DNA is also empty DNA. It is also called as MT, the abbreviation small empty DNA. It is circular double-stranded RNA and ribosomes. Therefore, it is called as independent protein. Independent protein synthesis it is present in mitochondria, and nearly 10% of proteins is produced by mitochondria. Prokaryotic. Now, how the mitochondria, it is said that it resembles to prokaryotic cells. So the evolution of mitochondria is there is aerobic bacteria and anaerobic eukaryotes. So that is how the evolution of mitochondria is said to be done. That is, it first of all it resembled like bacteria. Then when these two came together in symbiotic relationship, the aerobic and eukaryotic character of these two were combined, and there was finally formation of aerobic eukaryote. Then cell fractionation, rough endoplasmic reticulum, small vesicles called microsomes are formed, but they usually do cannot occur in the cell. Golgi apparatus, dictyosomes, the vesicles of Golgi, like the parallel membranes of vesicles of Golgi apparatus are called dictyosomes. It does three functions. The Golgi apparatus first is it catalyzes the addition of carbohydrate lipid sulfate to the proteins. It adds all these substances to the protein so that the protein can escape out of the cell. Second is signal. Whenever there's a signal to the Golgi apparatus, then only the proteins are expelled out of the cell. This is one of the mechanism of the expulsion of proteins from the digestive enzymes of the pancreas. Next is membrane synthesis. That is, it synthesizes membranes in some intercellular organelles such as peroxisomes and lysosomes. Now, what are lysosomes? That is hydrolysis. This suicidal bag of the cell which destroys its own macromolecular components of the cell. Example is cathepsin's protein, and many other are also available, like alpha glucoside, that is for glycogen, then lipases for lipids, ribosomes for RNA, ribonuclease for RNA. Now what is lysosomes is done. Now, inclusion cell bodies, eye cell disease is the absence of hydrolase in lysosome, which we studied. Absence of hydrolase in lysosome. What was Zellweger syndrome? Peroxisomes are absent. But here in eye cell disease, lysosome is present, but hydrolase in the lysosome is absent. So peroxisome, there are three functions. One, it contains an enzyme called catalase. First is first function of peroxisome is it converts H2O2 to toxic H2O2 to water and oxygen. Then it oxidizes the long chain fatty acids, that is more than 18 carbons in the long chain. It synthesizes plasmalogens, very important. If this plasmalogens is absent, then again this Zellweger syndrome can be observed. Plasmalogen plus glycolipids is synthesized by peroxisome. Then in plants, there is glyoxysome, a special type of peroxisome which takes part in the glyoxylytic pathway. PBDs, which we have already discussed, that is peroxisome biogenesis disorder. That in this, there are very long chain of fatty acids, but there's less amount of plasmalogens, which causes Zellweger syndrome. The victims of this disease die within 1 year after birth. Cytoskeleton contains microtubules, actin filaments, intermediate filaments, and apoptosis is the natural cell death. Thank you. This contained almost 95% of the all important chapters, 95% of important points, or you can say 100% of important points from the chapter Biomolecules and the Cells, Satyanarayana chapter 1. So the series is called as Short Note Revision for MBBS. Such series will be continued thereafter. If you like this video, please comment. Thank you.